in my eyes, what do you see? The cult of personality.
How's it going, WrestleRanters, and welcome to WrestleRant edition number 45. I'm your host, Bleacher Report feature columnist level 2, Graham G.S. and Matthews, here today to not review last night's edition of Friday Night SmackDown because that was boring and complete shit anyway, so there's no point in even bother reviewing it. You guys, if you want my thoughts on the show, you guys can just visit my website at nextwrestling.weebly.com for my full review on the show up in a couple of hours. But anyway, I am here today to discuss the WWE 2012 Draft. Now, before watching the rest of this video, I will pre-warn you that I will use a lot of vulgar language due to my frustration in the topic, so if you don't like vulgar language or swearing, please turn off the video now. So now moving on, over the last couple of days, I've been reading that the WWE Draft was originally planned for this upcoming edition of Monday Night Raw on April 23rd. However, officials now feel that the draft is not even necessary due to the Super Show concept and numerous names such as Alex Riley, Big Show, and most recently Alberto Del Rio moving brands without no apparent reason. So, my thoughts on the subject. And now, there is a possibility that we may get the draft on June 11th, I think it is. Let me look at my calendar here. June 11th. It's in Hartford, Connecticut. So that's right around my birthday. So I really, really hope that they do have the draft and it's on that day because that's the next 3-hour Raw. And it's in my hometown, or my home state, I should say. So if that happens on that day, I am definitely going because, let me just say this. I started watching wrestling, obviously, as many of you know, as you've probably been reading my articles and tweets and whatnot, but I started watching wrestling in April 2008. Now, the WWE Draft in 2008 was probably one of my favorite drafts, or one of my favorite wrestling moments of all time. I did not experience anything like that up to that point. I was extremely excited. That was my last day of school that day. 3-hour show. That was the night of the $1 Million Mania. I was freaking out because I thought Mr. McMahon was legitimately hurt. Obviously, I wasn't a very smart fan back then to know that was fake. But anyways, that was one of my favorite drafts and moments as a wrestling fan. Now the 2009 draft, even more epic. We saw names such as Triple H, Matt Hardy, who else moved that year? MVP, Melina as the women's champion, Rey Mysterio as the IC champion, Chris Jericho, Kane, and CM Punk. So that was one of my favorites WWE drafts. 2010 was a little lackluster. I still enjoyed it. We had Edge, Chris Jericho move brands, R-Truth, John Morrison, all those guys. And then in 2011 we had a huge name such as John Cena move twice. We had Randy Orton move to SmackDown, Rey Mysterio to Raw, Del Rio to Raw, Big Show to Raw. But so anyway, those are the drafts. That's a summary of the draft of each one that I've watched. Now, I always love the draft. No matter if I see the moves coming or not, I really don't care. It's always one of the most exciting nights of the year for me. John Cena moving to SmackDown, obviously I didn't really think about him moving back to Raw later in the night, but you should have seen me. That was one of my top mark-out moments of being a wrestling fan, of when John Cena moved to SmackDown. I was freaking the hell out that night. I was marking the hell out, I should say. So that will forever be remembered as one of my favorite wrestling moments. Now, moving forward to 2012, or I should say to late 2011, when Triple H announced, I believe in early September, that the Super Show concept will now be put in place, which means that Raw stars can appear on SmackDown and SmackDown stars compete on Raw. Now, this goes way beyond that, because we've seen not them appear on each other's shows, but move to the other shows. As I just said, Del Rio just recently moved to SmackDown, just for no reason, probably because he has that World Heavyweight Championship match that he earned a couple weeks ago. But besides that, I mean, they could have just waited to the draft if they were going to have one at all. But anyways, yeah, the Super Show gimmick has gone beyond appearing on each other's shows. As I just said, they're moving to the other show, like completely. They're on the other roster page, and even competing for the other one's titles. Now, Big Show, when he was still a member of Monday Night Raw, he was competing for the World Heavyweight Championship, and he eventually moved over to SmackDown. We saw John Morrison challenge for Cody Rhodes' IC Championship last October. So it just goes way beyond that. And even most recently, on Monday Night Raw, this past week on Raw, we saw a SmackDown star in Mark Henry compete for the WWE Championship against CM Punk. So this Super Show gimmick was originally put in place just not only to have that concept, but to increase ratings. Now let me ask you something. Other than the fact that Mark Henry was World Heavyweight Champion and he brought ratings up, as well as Daniel Bryan in the last couple of months, this Super Show gimmick has absolutely done nothing to enhance the product and or the ratings. Because let me just say this, they always do something around the fall to have viewership go up because obviously it's a football season around that time, so a lot of the viewers start tuning out. And even now, football season's over, and the ratings are still, I don't want to say shit, but they're not at where WWE wants them to be. I could care less about the ratings. The ratings don't and shouldn't reflect the product. Brock Lesnar returned, and Raw has been pretty much good as a whole ever since Brock Lesnar returned, yet the ratings don't show that. Who gives a flying fuck? Don't even pay attention to the ratings. Those don't mean a damn thing. Because let me just say this. Let's say Daniel Bryan, the former World Heavyweight Champion, you got Sheamus, Orton, all those SmackDown stars, you gotta have them appearing on Raw. Now let me just remind you that the SmackDown ratings as of late haven't been really as high as they want them to be, and I don't blame them, because SmackDown hasn't been really good as of late at all. Leading into WrestleMania, the days after WrestleMania, SmackDown has been complete shit for all of 2012. I'll just say that right now. So as I was saying, if you have stars from SmackDown such as D-Bry, Mark Henry, Randy Orton, Sheamus all appear on Raw in 1 week, what's my incentive to watch SmackDown? Yeah, sure, they have a match like the 6-man tag team match that doesn't even make any damn sense, but they have all of their top stars on Raw. Now, why would I want to watch SmackDown? Same thing with SmackDown. The Raw stars appearing on SmackDown. They rarely do that anyway. Like, you don't see John Cena and CM Punk regularly appearing on SmackDown. Same thing with Jericho. I mean, he appeared maybe twice, but besides that, it's worthless. So why in the hell would I want to watch SmackDown if all my favorite guys are on Raw already? I mean, come on. It's just a stupid idea, and it's common sense. Come on. I mean, like, the WWE creative, obviously, we all know it's just a group of highly trained monkeys that don't even know the definition of the term creative, because they're not very creative if they're letting this shit just pass by. Now, the WWE brand extension first started or came to fruition during the Ruthless Aggression era almost a decade ago, and has been there ever since. Now, 5 years ago, we had a massive Raw versus SmackDown rivalry between the two shows. Now it's like nothing. Like, why even bring back bragging rights if the two shows are like best friends and they're not even competing against each other? I mean, you have John Laurinaitis and Teddy Long feuding with each other against Raw and SmackDown, or at least that was the way before WrestleMania. But what does that mean? Who gives a shit? No one cares about Raw versus SmackDown. Hence why, if you noticed the video game series, Raw versus SmackDown, they had to change it to WWE 12 because there is no legit rivalry between Raw and SmackDown. I mean, it's just pathetic. The potential of that feud could have been so much greater. The champion versus champion matches, even those, could be such high rankings. I mean, such higher ratings. If you remember, John Cena and Batista, WWE champion at the time. Batista was World Heavyweight champion at the time. Armageddon, I believe, 2005, I think it was. They tag teamed against the team of Big Show and Kane. That was one of the greatest main events. I mean, as far as building goes, because they built that up as the first time the World Heavyweight champion and the WWE champion ever tag teamed together. Now they do it on such a consistent basis, without hype or anything or build, that it means absolutely nothing. So now going back to the WWE Draft, a lot of people are saying that the draft is irrelevant and worthless, and I can't blame you there, because I can totally see your point on why it's worthless. But I want the draft. But there can't be a draft unless WWE starts taking the shows seriously. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, why don't they just unify the World Championships? Why don't they just unify the secondary titles? No, do not do that, because then a lot of stars will just get buried in the process. You won't get to see guys like CM Punk and Sheamus get this airtime that they do. Because if they unify the championships, then a young rising star like Sheamus, as much as I really don't like him, won't be world champion. Same thing with Daniel Bryan. He'd never get a shot at the world championship if there was only one world title. Guys like John Cena, Randy Orton, Big Show, all the veterans would be holding that championship, and not young up-and-coming guys like Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, Sheamus, and all those good guys. I mean, so it's completely worthless. Same thing with the secondary titles. I mean, they're complete shit at the moment. They gave fucking Big Show. Why in the fuck would you give Big Show the Intercontinental Championship? I was watching SmackDown yesterday. They did Big Show versus Del Rio. I didn't even know Big Show was IC champion until he came out with that belt, because they don't hype that at all. It's worthless. They gave the United States Championship to a comedy figure like Santino Marella. Like, come on. Santino was great and all, but he doesn't need a championship. He doesn't need the U.S. title. Give it back to someone that's being buried at the moment like Zack Ryder or Dolph Ziggler or Jack Swagger. Come on, WWE. It's common sense. Oh, I'm sorry if I'm just... I'm coming off as a regular angry WWE smark here, as some people would say. But it's just ridiculous. Come on, it's just common sense. Why in the fuck would you do Raw stars on SmackDown and SmackDown stars on Raw when you could just have them on separate shows and increase ratings? That's why ratings were so high a couple years ago, before 2008, probably in 2007. I don't remember, I don't know, but that's why ratings were higher back then, because people tuned into SmackDown to see guys like Batista, Booker T, Kane, Undertaker, all those guys on SmackDown and not on Raw. That's why this 3-hour shows mean nothing these days. They're just boring as hell because they're the same thing that we see on Raw every week. If you remember, Raw got rocked last November or something like that, the Raw Before Survivor Series. That was boring as shit. Same thing with the Slammies. I enjoyed the Slammies, but a lot of people are saying that was boring as shit because SmackDown stars appearing on Raw used to be an awesome thing for the 3-hour shows. Now it doesn't mean shit. So that's just my rant on that. As much as I love the WWE Draft, I don't see it happening this year. As much as I want guys like The Miz to move to SmackDown, I want Christian to move to Raw, maybe Mark Henry, I want Del Rio on SmackDown, but apparently he's already moved anyway for no apparent reason. They didn't even make a good point about it on SmackDown. I had to go back and watch it again just to find out that Del Rio moved to SmackDown and just go look at the SmackDown roster page. So again, that's my little rant on that. If you guys have any feedback on that, you guys can contact me on Twitter at @saber_us_GSM or at my website for all the WWE TNA rumors, recaps, and more, nextwrestling.weebly.com. Make sure you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really do appreciate it. And also go check out our Michael Tarver interview, the former WWE Superstar Nexus member. Really awesome guy. We had a lot of questions to ask him. He gave us epic answers, so go check that out. Go check out that epic interview at blogtalkradio.com/spoilerspodcast. We have Donald Wood from Bleacher Report and Ring Rust Radio on this week, and we have a future WWE Hall of Famer on a future edition of Spoilers in upcoming weeks. So the next edition of Spoilers is on this upcoming Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you want to hear more of my rant on the WWE Draft, you guys can go check out that edition of this upcoming Thursday night. So I thank you for watching. I hope you guys have an awesome weekend. So I'll catch you soon. This is GSM signing out. Till next time, guys.